Once a mighty emperor lived with 100 queens, but despite his grand life, he grew weary and discontented. He began to recall the days of his youth when he had no attraction to women, no awareness of his physical strength, or knowledge of lustful desires. Reflecting on those days filled his eyes with tears, how energetic, vibrant, and full of freshness he used to be. But now, the emperor had aged, though even in his old age he could not rid himself of lust. He had won thousands of battles, but the one battle he had never won was the one within himself. He had surrendered to his desires, and now, in his old age, he grew increasingly anxious, aware that death could come at any moment. Most people, when faced with the inevitability of death, think of liberation or salvation, but the emperor was consumed by lustful thoughts. Despite having queens, each more beautiful than the last, and fathering children with all of them, his mind remained restless, plagued by impure thoughts. He wondered why, even after indulging in so much pleasure, his mind still craved more. Why did he continue to have obscene thoughts? The emperor began to worry that he would carry the burden of lust with him even in death. Being a believer in the concept of the soul, he feared that if he did not rid himself of these desires, his soul might wander aimlessly for eternity. The emperor became deeply troubled, pondering day and night how he could free himself from his desires. In his desperation, he called for a great assembly of scholars at his palace with the explicit purpose of discussing lust. He announced throughout the kingdom that whoever could satisfy his mind and offer a solution would be appointed as his advisor for life. This led to a fierce competition among the scholars, and on the appointed day, they all gathered in the royal court. Some carried the Vedas, others the Upanishads, and most scholars tried to appease the emperor with teachings from these ancient texts. The debates began, and the emperor asked the first question: what is the true meaning of celibacy? Some scholars answered that a true celibate is someone who has never indulged in pleasure. Others disagreed, arguing that even if a person has indulged in pleasure but has since renounced it, he is also a true celibate. In fact, they claimed that true celibacy is when one renounces pleasure after experiencing it. The emperor, however, found none of the answers satisfying, and the scholars continued their heated debates. Suddenly, a unique scholar arrived, accompanied by two exceptionally beautiful young women. He first apologized to the emperor for his delay, causing the other scholars to laugh at him. One of the scholars stood up and remarked, "How can a man who is himself plagued by lust possibly rid others of it?" The scholar, with a smile, asked, "Why do you think I am plagued by lust?" The other scholar responded, "Do you take us for fools? You enter the royal court with two young women, which clearly shows you are a man of lust. Am I wrong?" The unique scholar continued to smile and replied, "Dear sir, the two young women you see with me are my sisters, and like me, they possess a deep understanding of lust." The scholar then addressed the emperor, saying, "O king, a true celibate is one who no longer sees the difference between a man and a woman. When a person has truly overcome lust, they see all bodies as merely human bodies. Not only do they lack lustful thoughts when looking at a woman, but they cannot even distinguish that she is a woman. To a true celibate, every soul is the same, and they never differentiate based on physical forms." The scholar continued, "It is clear from the fact that all the scholars here see the young women with me that none of them truly understands the meaning of celibacy." The emperor was intrigued by this scholar, who had not quoted any Vedas or Upanishads, but spoke in a way that resonated naturally with human understanding. Impressed, the emperor asked the next question: why should a person practice celibacy when they can enjoy life through indulgence? The scholar responded with a question of his own. "Tell me, O king, what is more powerful, a tree or a seed?" The emperor replied, "A tree is born from a seed, so naturally the seed is more powerful." The scholar explained, "Similarly, within our bodies, there are many seeds in the form of sexual energy, which hold immense power and are a source of pleasure. However, by succumbing to lust, we constantly waste these seeds, and as they are destroyed, a person becomes weak, sluggish, and perpetually tired." Remember, the scholar continued, our bodies are formed from our essence, our blood, which creates our flesh, bones, and finally, our sexual energy. This energy is very limited, and wasting it on lustful thoughts and actions is not logical. Practicing celibacy allows this energy to be absorbed into our inner being, giving us a radiant appearance, protecting us from illness, and turning this sexual energy into a source of divine pleasure through meditation. The emperor then asked a question that was of utmost importance to him. How can one overcome lust? The scholar answered, a wise person knows that the more they drink from the well of lust, the thirstier they become. The thirst is never quenched. Therefore, they either avoid drinking from it altogether, or if compelled by life circumstances to indulge, they do so sparingly. You, O king, married 100 queens, but you must have realized that for those whose thirst can be quenched, it only takes one. For those whose thirst cannot be quenched, even 100 women cannot satisfy them. The scholar continued to explain that if a person's life goal is not clear, they will fall prey to indulgences. But if their goal is clear, they will focus all their attention on achieving it, rather than on pleasure. You must have heard the old saying, an idle mind is the devil's workshop. Therefore, a person should have a clear life goal. Lustful thoughts initially arise from our mind, and if we direct our thoughts toward our goals, there will be no room left for lustful thoughts. The scholar warned the emperor, remember, lustful thoughts are more dangerous than indulgence itself, as they disrupt our mental balance and create illusions. Let me share a story with everyone here. Once, 2 monks were returning to their ashram after begging for alms. On their way, they came across a river, which they had to cross to reach the ashram. A woman was sitting by the riverbank, and she asked the monks if they could help her cross the river. One of the monks refused outright, thinking, I have taken a vow of celibacy. How can I possibly carry a woman? The other monk, however, smiled, picked the woman up, and carried her across the river. This bothered the first monk greatly. As they continued their journey, he told the second monk, you did the wrong thing. You should not have carried that woman. You committed a grave mistake, and I will report you to our guru. The second monk laughed and said, I left that woman by the river long ago, but it seems you are still carrying her in your mind. The entire assembly listened intently as the scholar narrated the story. He then explained, just as a single dirty drain can pollute an entire river, so too do lustful thoughts pollute our minds. If you wish to feel vibrant and full of energy, create a path for pure thoughts in your mind. Finally, the scholar imparted a crucial lesson. If we indulge mindfully in any pleasure, our mind understands its impermanence. It realizes that this pleasure cannot bring us lasting joy, and this understanding naturally diminishes lustful thoughts. The emperor then asked, what do you mean by indulging mindfully? The scholar replied, the human mind rarely focuses entirely on one task. It is always divided. As a result, we do not fully reap the benefits of our actions. For example, when a person donates to someone in need, their mind often wanders, thinking about some other goal they wish to achieve. Similarly, when people pray, they do not focus entirely on their devotion, but instead think of their desires. King, consider this. If a person does not fully commit to any action, how can they expect to receive the full benefits of that action? It seems impossible. Let whatever is happening in your life happen, but be fully present in it. If you focus entirely on any task, your mind will become fully engaged in it, and then you will act mindfully. Once you act mindfully, you will not regret your actions later. Regret only arises when we act mindlessly. Many people resolve to overcome lust, but these resolutions are often made in a state of mental slumber. A person who is fully awake and aware does not need to make such resolutions because they naturally refrain from acting against their conscience. The scholar concluded, instead of trying to overcome lust, focus on how you can indulge mindfully. Once you experience it mindfully, you will naturally realize the changes it brings within you. If it feels right, you may continue. If not, you will leave it behind without needing to make a conscious effort. However, To reach this state of mindfulness, you must practice meditation. Meditation is the key to awakening from the sleep of ignorance, allowing your mind to fully concentrate on your actions. Once you act mindfully, your mind will naturally understand the impermanence of pleasure. The scholar then deepened his explanation, saying, "A person who is asleep cannot even see a snake lying in their path. They only realize it when they step on it. Similarly, most people live their lives lost in thoughts, future plans, and past regrets. Their attention is never truly on the present moment, which is a sign of a sleeping mind. When a person realizes the depth of their mental slumber, that is when meditation arises in their life. But how can a sleeping person realize they are asleep unless someone shakes them awake? Rarely do we encounter such people who help us see how deeply we are asleep. Our minds have become offices for thoughts, future plans, and past sorrows." The emperor was deeply moved by the scholar's answers, and he appointed him as his advisor for life. So, my friends, how did you like this story? Please let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to Buddha's teachings, and click the notification bell to stay updated with our latest content. Remember, the journey to enlightenment is just beginning. Share this video with someone you love, and let's continue climbing higher and aiming higher together. Thank you for watching.